can we just have a recap on the latest developments?
Sarah Jane, all we know is that on Sunday, the submersible went below the surface of the sea. It was descending 4 kilometres down to see where the Titanic is. Titanic is 1,500 miles off the east coast of the United States, 350 miles south of St John's in Newfoundland, at a depth of 4 kilometres. I mean, this is quite significant. We're talking about really extreme depths here, as you can see, around about 14,000 feet. The submersible itself is a Titan submersible. It's quite basic, really. You can see its diving capability is nominally 4,000 metres, and Titanic herself is at 3,800 metres. So you're actually on the limits here. And what has happened, the actual safety pulse that comes out as a sonar signal from the submersible failed. Was failed to be received in the support ship. And so from that point onwards, there was obviously an emergency taking place. Either there's been a power failure or indeed there's been something more catastrophic. And we haven't heard anything from the submersible since then. And the basic problem is it's tiny. It's 20 feet long. It weighs 10 tons, but it's made of glass reinforced plastic. So even if you're looking at it with a sonar, it's not actually reflecting any sonar pulses back to you. There's a lot of debris on the seabed. Titanic itself, of course, is part of the problem. So you're looking for a needle in a haystack here, even if you actually had any vessels in the vicinity that could actually look for it. Because the only thing that can really look for it is another submersible, and they don't have one at the moment.
Yeah, they are few and far between, because on the one hand, this is an incredible piece of kit in terms of there are not many bits of equipment that can go that far beneath the surface of the ocean. But then on the other side of it, it's actually a bit of rudimentary kit. You were talking about, what it's made of, and, much has been made of the fact that it's controlled by an old games hand controller. I mean, your mind's a little bit blown by that.
No,
what are the
Sarah,
limitations?
Basically, you're looking at a glass-reinforced plastic hull. It's been presumably tested down to the sort of depth that it's designed to go to. But that composite material is actually quite fragile. You get any breach, the thing's going to implode. But this is pretty basic. Just look at the external hull. There are no mechanical arms or grabbers or anything like that. This looks like a Colombian narco sub. These are the sort of things you find off Colombia that have basically they've had their bits of kit procured from the internet and all sorts of other places. And it's incredibly basic. So if it gets itself entangled or underneath an obstruction, it hasn't got these mechanical arms to get itself out. And you've got this single port at the front, which gives you very limited visibility out to about probably 10 feet, and a sonar that will give you another indication out to about 20 feet. So if you're down there in this very, very obscure, dark and cold environment, you're on the extremes here, there's no question. If you go inside the hull, we've seen some videos of what's going on inside. That's a laptop. It's not a computer screen that's mounted in an integrated system, and it's actually steered by a games console. Yeah. So whilst you can actually praise the inventor for saying, look, this is fantastic innovation applying modern technology, this is Mickey Mouse. And, you and I have got to ask ourselves, would we go in something like this, which looks so basic, to go down to 4 kilometres?
Well, one of our correspondents was actually looking at the company that's in charge of this submersible, their website, and it was talking about licensing and, regulations for this kind of submersible. And I think one of the quotes of the website was, licensing can't keep up with innovation, which, would set alarm bells ringing, particularly knowing what we are now witnessing. What stage do you think the search is at? We heard from the US Coastguard earlier that they're widening the search. And I don't mean that in terms of, width. I'm talking depth. What can we read into that?
Sarah Jane, I think they're just giving us news, quite frankly. The best they can do at the moment is look on the surface with aircraft and with ships to see if the thing's actually bobbed up to the surface. It's released its weight, used its compressed air to come to the surface. I think that's a bit of a forlorn hope myself. They would have found it by now. And that's a huge search area that you can see there. It's probably out to about 20 miles. The fact of life is they can't actually start looking until they've got some platforms that can actually look under the surface. They don't have them. And you're going to have to look with active sonar, pinging away, looking for this thing. But bear in mind what I said. It's glass-reinforced plastic. It's not metal. So the echo's coming back, and it'll be very difficult. You've got Titanic there with all the debris from Titanic, and it's sitting on the bottom, and frankly, looking for a needle in a haystack is child's play compared to this.